Imagine scrolling through social media and then you see a live video of someone raging, screaming that they killed their family live on stream. Would you act to help, or would you sit aside and watch and spectate?
Social psychologists have been interested in issues like these, especially after the boom in popularity of social media and online communication in general. What the research is telling us is that there are the positives and sadly the negatives of using social media during an emergency situation shared online. Let's explore the downsides.
There is a psychological phenomenon called the bystander effect, where psychologists observe that the more people are around during an emergency situation, the less likely any one of them actually steps out to help. Compared to real-life emergencies, any emergency posts or live stream can reach a few hundreds or even thousands of viewers within a short time. So, the downside of social media comes when this big magnitude of people in social media might get potential helpers to think that,
well, there are thousands of people who've already interacted with the post. There must have been help from the others. So I'll pass.
This is known as the diffusion of responsibility, and it's made worse on social media because the potential number of people can be much larger than in real life. And so the feeling of responsibility is spread even thinner amongst a large number of social media users. Another concern from the popularity of social media stems from the different forms of content being shared online, because unfortunately, many of those contents include, well, violent content. Violent content has become more accessible to the general public, and that might lead to something called desensitization in people, where people become less sensitive to something after many exposure. Once someone is desensitized with violence through all the violent content, imagine if they happen to come across, for example, a live stream where a husband is physically abusing his wife. Research tells us that a desensitized person would, 1. be less likely to even notice the emergency situation, secondly, be less likely to see the situation as an emergency, and thirdly, feel less responsible to help in general. Honestly, that sounds a little gloomy. But what are the upsides? One thing social media does well during these situations is in facilitating crowdsourced assistance, or in other words, the seeking of help from a large group of people. The 2017 split of wildfire in Croatia does a good job in showing this. In 2017, a big forest fire spread to a city in Croatia called Split, which nearly collapsed the city's emergency systems. Fortunately, many people took real-time photos and shared locations of the fire on social media, which combined with satellite images helped bring the fire under control and soon enough fully extinguishing it. Social media provided an instantaneous, widely connected platform for people to share crucial information about the situation, which collectively helped authorities to quickly capitalize on them, make better decisions during the emergency. Let's quickly recap. With how widespread social media is, the sheer volume of social media users can result in much diffusion of responsibility amongst users in an emergency online situation. The much increased amounts of violent content shared on social media also leads to desensitization in people, making them less sharp and responsive in a virtual emergency situation.
Though, one upside of social media also facilitates people to receive help from large groups of people more easily and readily during emergency situations.
In combating the downsides of this complex social phenomena, we won't be giving the cookie-cutter advice of getting someone to moderate social media content or to add labels and warnings to content, but instead, we hope that you, yes you, the viewer, can take it upon yourself to develop a personal awareness and ethic of responsibility of sorts that you may, without relying on others, help others in an emergency situation online when morally called for, and to learn to be accountable of your own online content and actions, because who knows, you might quite literally save a precious life.